Welcome back, everyone. I think it's probably pretty obvious, if we think about it for more than 1 second, that one of the more important things in our community is safety, right? Protection. Otherwise, why would we have police departments, sheriff's departments, state troopers, military? And recently, as a matter of fact, today is sort of an interesting day. It's the anniversary of the Columbine shootings, and also just before I started talking to these two gentlemen, I got news that there was a school shooting again in Florida today. Well, it seems like we've got a problem, and like a lot of issues in this country, people immediately go to their safe territories, and I don't mean that in this context, but I do mean that for and against, this divisiveness that goes on. I always think when it comes to gun issues that it isn't about gun control, that's about gun safety. And I've invited a number of students from different high schools in our community to come on and talk about this from their perspective, because it's very different from our perspective. And joining me today are two students that just have a lot to say about this issue. You might recognize Kevin Davidson, from high school senior at South High in South Glens Falls, was here before. Welcome back, Kevin. Very nice to have you here. And joining us today is Jackson LaSarso. Welcome, Jackson. Now, Jackson's a junior at Queensbury High School. And the two of them and a number of their friends have gotten together and are going to have an event, a very important event tomorrow at City Park in Glens Falls, right next to Crandall Library. So again, welcome back to you. Very nice to meet you. It's very nice to have you on also. When you were here last, it was right after the Parkland shootings.
Right.
And we were going around to different schools and inviting students on. And I remember during that interview, a couple of things about you, Kev. I remember that you were very articulate. You really felt this situation from the perspective of the experts, you and your fellow high school students.
Right.
And you also mentioned this event and mentioned that you were going to be reaching out to other schools. And I guess you then got together with Jackson and a couple of other students about this event tomorrow. So tell me a bit about the event, and then I want to talk more about the topic itself.
So it's in Glens Falls City Park, which is right next to the Crandall Public Library. Yep. It's from 12 to 4.
And during that time period, what are you doing?
So it's going to start with just some basically milling around. We have voter registration tables set up so people can go visit them. Some literature from Moms Demand Action, and then we're going to do some introductions. The march will get underway. After that, we have music and speakers.
Oh, got it. Tell me a bit about your involvement. Why are you involved, Jackson?
So what happened a few weeks prior to this event, I was reached out to by Kevin and Steven, and they approached me about asking if I could help out. So one of the things I've done is I've helped reach out with press releases. I've helped kind of plan what was going to go on, the logistics of the event itself.
And that would include, of course, getting all the appropriate permits and all the other sort of legalities that are involved with putting on an event like this. Why are you involved in this? When I say things like gun safety versus gun control, I do that deliberately. So I don't want people offended that they think their Second Amendment rights are being threatened, right? Why are you involved?
I think that this is a problem that I think everyone can agree we have in the United States. An American is 28 more times likely to die from gun violence than a person in the United Kingdom. And I don't think there's anything intrinsically about the U.S. that makes us more prone to gun violence. Right. So clearly there's an issue here, and I think that we need to come together as a nation to be able to figure out a way to solve that.
What do you think is the best way to start to approach the divisiveness concerning this topic?
I think personally it comes down to how can we have a civil discussion without the media, without the special interest groups, just a person-to-person discussion. That's what it really starts with, is speaking to someone civilly about what they think about the issue and working with that.
Right. I heard a very interesting interview recently where David Hogg was being interviewed. He's one of the Parkland students, and someone called up and was just all over him. I'm on this side and you're obviously on that side. And I thought he did a very skillful job of doing what you were just describing, which is to say, why don't we stop that? Why don't we just have a conversation about this? You have valid positions and I have valid positions. Do you feel the same way about that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the thing people have to understand is it's not so much of a pro-gun, anti-gun issue. It's more the people who realize that this is a problem and there are ways to address it that'll stop it from continuing to happen. And then there's part of the country who unfortunately are still disillusioned into believing that there's nothing we can do.
There is definitely something we can do. You know, things stay in your mind. If you're my generation, we went through the 60s and we were very rebellious. I remember being in high school and being very rebellious and really just wanting passionately to, you know, start putting together the mechanism for change. You know, a society grows when it changes, but the fundamentals never change. The safety of a community, the well-being of a community. And I think that's what impresses me most about speaking to you, is that you feel that as well, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
And why? Why do you feel that way?
Just that this is definitely a time when everything's coming to fruition and there's a lot of momentum here for change to happen.
Right, yeah, I totally agree with that. Add something to that.
I know. I think what it really comes down to is this year's a big year. It's an election year, and I think that we know that something can be done now. We know that we can get out and vote, and we know that we can go and do something with the momentum we have. And I think that we know that we can really go from there.
Have you reached out to politicians?
Yes, sir. We've reached out to all of the candidates that are running in the 2018 21st District of New York, and we've asked them, you know, to come out to the event tomorrow. I believe we have 4 confirmed, but that's really what it comes down to, is we want to hear from them, we want to hear from everyone, and we want to be able to figure out a way that we can go and fix this moving forward.
This is going to be a peaceful event, by the way. I think that's important to note, too. It's tomorrow, Saturday, starts at noon. It's going to go to 4 o'clock. The last time they put an event like this together, we had north of 1,500 people. That's our job. We're members of the community. Show up, show support. League of Women Voters is going to be there registering people, because you can talk about guns, you can talk about bump stocks, you can talk about anything. The most powerful weapon we have is the ability to vote. So, you know, come out and support that effort and show support for younger people in our community who really want to affect change. That's a basic tenet of democracy, I would argue.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So 12 o'clock tomorrow, City Park they call it. It's a little bit confusing. It's not Crandall Park, but it's next to the Crandall Library in downtown Glens Falls. And show your support and answer questions and get involved in a dialogue, regardless of where you are. This is not about taking anybody's Second Amendment rights away or threatening anybody. This is really about saying we have a safety issue that's unique on this planet right now. What are we going to do about this issue? Well, as usual, the last time you were on, I was very impressed with you. Same holds true. Jackson, it's great to talk to you. Very articulate.
Thank you.
And the thing that I would say to you is just don't give up. We've got an election coming up. It's going to be a very active summer, and I hope that you remain active to try to affect the kind of change that will benefit our community. Good. Okay. Tomorrow, City Park, Glens Falls. Don't forget, I'll be there. You're even going to have old people like us there. That's going to be great. Great to talk to you, Jackson. Great to see you again, Kev.
Thanks for having us on.
You're quite welcome. To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.